Hello, everyone. Welcome to 1 Million Minds. Hello, Balaji. How are you?
Hey Rajni, doing great, man. How are you?
Doing well. And again, I know we are trying a new format, but just to for newer audience, I want to say what we do here is we talk about technology, especially from a developer, an entrepreneur frame of reference. So we there's so much changing in this, whether it's Web3 or AI. So we like to bring the most recent topics, and we also get like to get our hands dirty. Especially Balaji is our technical guru here. So we like to build things that we are envisioning, and we like to share how we do this with the audience. So join us. I'm glad you joined us for this experience, and we'll continue to build and evolve these tools. But today we want to try a little bit different format for our topics because we want to make sure there's some kind of a time component to it, and we want to keep it as rapid as possible. So saying that, we want to, if you're good with the biology, we can get started with our first topic.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of things every week coming out on the AI side, and I can't wait to chat about what you found on these plugins that came out last week. So let's go.
All right. So so if you would get us started on that one, please. Oh, perfect. Okay, so now I see it now. Okay, perfect. All right, so I know OpenAI has about 70 plugins that have been made available, and it's only restricted to people who are. I think they started in March. They're going to available now. It's available, restricted to people who have that $20 plus membership. So I haven't had a chance to play with all of them, but they're like top plugins like Zapier, um, Carta. They just travel. You just so many different things that you can do with this. So when I played around with it, I liked some of them. There were some of them were slower, but the general sense is it's in beta phase, right? So we expect this
Right,
to happen, but
right.
I think it's going to be very powerful when it actually gets implemented and all these bugs get ironed out. But overall, I just feel like, especially OpenAI, one of the biggest uh, deficiency, for lack of a better word, was it was trained on 2 years old data, right? Some of these plugins now can bring it directly to the current internet because you can send a URL and they can do a lot of things with it. But that's good news. The bad news is not as fast as what you would expect, like a board is, because it's like real time, right? So
Right,
that's my
right.
perspective. What have you heard about it? What are your thoughts on
Uh,
it?
I think one of the things that's in the hype is how you can do a lot of things with Zapier. I haven't tried any of those workflows, but I would imagine, like you said, they are very early and it's probably a little slower. But people are already talking about how they can incorporate the OpenAI or the board or any of these kind of large language models into their workflow. Right? How can I um, send type up something and send it into my workflow, and it'll take that and look at it and say, hey, I have to do this, I have to do that, and create those workflow components and execute them. It's going to be definitely fun to see how this evolves. Um, but yeah, I
Yeah,
personally haven't
I
had
agree.
time.
Yeah, I think one of the things we kind of mentioned in our last call episode was how do we make like repeatable processes, right? And I think that's why Zapier will be very helpful. We had right now I've used Zapier for outbound marketing, where we had a Excel sheet and we had to do certain things with it before an email went out for each one of them.
Okay.
Scraping LinkedIn profile. There's just a bunch of things you can do, but it makes it repeatable. So I think when you kind of put that power with the chat GPT, I can't imagine, but I can't really see a boundary for how far we can go with some of these automations. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, just some clarification. I think my personal experience is you can use it for repeated tasks, but every time it has a variation that comes up with it. As long as the task
Okay.
involves that variation, like for example, when you compose an email, maybe it's a slightly different format every time. Even if you give it the same task every single time, it might come up with different material, like different ways of saying the same thing. Um, so I think certain tasks are okay with it, and certain things like like in the previous episode, like the Auto GPT, can you have it do the same 5 tasks every single time and repeat in a loop? Probably not. It just does uh,
Got it. All
different
right.
things different times.
Perfect. Let's move on to the next one, which is our Google I/O conference. I was able to listen to the keynote and a few of the products that were dropped, and almost every one of them had a AI component to, right from Magic Editor, where one of the things I saw blew my mind was the picture was cut off where a kid was holding balloons, and
Right.
that's all the picture they took. There's actually a piece missing, but they were able to move the kid into focus, which means the tool had to like kind of build or recreate what the rest of the picture that was not even taken in the first thing, and then sync it with the sky. I just thought, I mean, there's no end to this, right? How creative they're getting. But I know we've talked about erasing somebody in the background, but this is
Right.
actually was filling in the blanks kind of a thing. So that was epic. And then the other two things that were really exciting for me was when they Google Sheets has it, Google Docs has it now, so you can help with, if you just like we would do in a chat GPT or Bard, go and they say, hey, I need to write a job description for somebody. I think they call it textile designer or something was the example. So you wrote a really good job description, responsibilities, what expectations. So nobody has to ever start from zero. They proved that easily. An Excel file, they say, oh, I want to create a dog grooming business.
Oh
Create
yeah, I saw
a
that one.
thing. And it just popped out like dog name, dog walking business, I should say, and all different things and notes. I'm just saying, like you have an idea and it kind of builds everything for you. It, the distribution that Google is going to bring to AI tools and the ease of people being onboarded to this is what's mind blowing for me. I know they were kind of behind the race for when all the hype was around ChatGPT. But I feel like with the second release of it and the updates they've done, they're catching up fast. And these are some of the tools that I can't wait to use and test out. But what are your thoughts on them?
But yeah, absolutely. I think I agree with you on that front. I think Google had to showcase some of this on productivity side as well, because I think if you look at Microsoft, their software and productivity tools, they're plugging it everywhere. I think Google has a counterpart, Google Docs, and I think the demo was definitely cool, like how a person can take their dog walking business to something that they can manage in a spreadsheet. They can put some client lists and simple stuff, right? And you can visualize how it can get more complicated with other type of so yeah, definitely I like the uh, I like the presentation, and where just they're telling us where they are looking at how this is going to evolve. I'm personally excited that I got access to the Palm, the Maker Suite API, so I'm going to play with it. So that's one of the other things they announced. Like they have the Vertex, I think the Vertex API. I got this Palm API. So I think this one is, I just had a glance. I looked at it. It just gives a similar API endpoints like embeddings, text and text completion, and chat, right? So I think finally we can actually run. I'm eager to build something to compare OpenAI to Google, right? This is going to be fun. So we'll do that probably next
Yeah,
couple of
which
weeks.
brings us to the next topic, right? This is just one of the many comparisons we'll be doing between ChatGPT and Bard or Google GPT, right? So the some of the things I researched on were along the lines of which one of these tools better about summarizing or coding, tweeting, and market, right? So I'll give you my perspective on what I saw. So again, I felt Bard was well behind the curve because it couldn't do languages. Coding wasn't an option, but the new release, Palm 2, has kind of leapfrog them, not maybe not in front, but it's closed the gap between open AI chat GPT, right? So actually that's my perspective. But even now, as of today, it will, if you do summarization, I still feel like chat GPT has a slight edge over that. But when it comes to coding, I mean, I'm not an expert coder like you, but it was very similar code. The thing I liked about Bard was it had a reference to where the origin of that. I don't think ChatGPT does it yet. So it said something about GitHub. This is where I got this, code from. So that I think the developers will like that. I don't know if it means anything about monetization, but the bottom line is it is giving some connections back to where the source was. And then when it comes to tweets, I think it was a more of a wash between these two. They were both able to create really interesting tweets, but again, ChatGPT can write a 10-word poem where the first word is the starting of the second letter. I mean, second word is the last letter. Anyway, we can get complicated with the way it does it, and it still delivers. I know I wasn't very successful doing something. Nobody needs it. I don't think we need it from a use case perspective, but just to show the level of complexity, right? And
Right.
marketing material, I felt like, yeah, marketing material, I felt like they were both on par. Bard to me personally had a very cleaner interface, and the timing when it pertains to latest things were faster in Bard compared to ChatGPT. So that's my quick comparison. I know we're going to deep dive this into in our future sessions, but I wanted to understand. Did you have any thoughts on that as it stands today?
Right. So after the Google I/O, I think they opened up Bard for general. I got access, so I was playing with it. I my initial take is yes, it's a little bit behind on the general all kind of coding, but I think they have an edge in terms of if it's open source, if it's something more familiar, you can take that into Google Colab and start executing. I think that workflow, it's a much better, whoever is using that Colab type of model for AI and other things, right? So you can ask it to do some coding and then you can execute on Google Cloud and it gives you that workflow there. So from that angle, it might, but I personally feel like the GPT-4 is able to generate better pieces of code. Like I use for rand other tasks, like give me some segment of code here and there. I felt that that's my personal experience that OpenAI gave a better piece of code, or I'm able to have a conversation with it better to get what I want as opposed to Bard. In general, about other text completion, I tried one of the things like, for example, my kid was doing this young entrepreneur program, and she had to go on stage and explain what product. And preparing for that, I gave the prompt to both systems, right? I gave to Bard, say, hey, give me 10 questions a investor panel would ask for any new idea, right? And then I gave the same thing to OpenAI ChatGPT. I would say I think both are pretty much on target on some of these. So I think there's slight variation, but they're up to the point. I think very similar responses. So from that angle, I think probably text completion, maybe it's a close call. It's improving on both sides.
Yeah, I'm curious to see because usually speaking, when as a technology wave, a new one comes in, the incumbents usually are not going to make it. But this one's it's moving so fast to a commodity status. I don't know who's going to win this thing, but
Right.
I feel like we can't shut out Google at this point. Even though they were written off 6 months ago, they definitely feel like their distribution and they have the most information about us. So as long as they that will be a big advantage for Google. So I want to see how where this goes. So I'm excited.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree.
All right, we are out of time for our topics. That was good. It kept us moving along. So, but the next topic, I'm going to hand it off to you, Balaji. I'm excited about it. I know we briefly talked about it, but it's the first time I'm seeing it too, so it's exciting. Let's
All
walk us
right.
through it.
Absolutely. So for this week, I went ahead and built a custom chat bot for a website. This is a for a website called White Lotus, and they do health coaching. So the process is this, right? So in the previous segments, we saw how we can interact, how we can um, create prompts, how we can debate with bot versus bot, all the other stuff. And this one is more focused on, can I get my own training set into OpenAI and train it to answer within that context, right? So it's my personal data. In this case, this is White Lotus Health Coach website data, and it was fed into the system to see what kind of response. So I kind of did a proof of concept to show what kind of responses you get. Um, so before we start, I did it in two different versions. So with OpenAI, you have this embedding or fine tuning. I'm sure pretty same with every other LLM. So at a high level, embedding is basically taking your text, and when you say give me the numeric equivalent of this, it just hands out a bunch of numbers, right? So what does this mean, right? So in the large language model, it's giving you some numbers to indicate how close or how similar it is to certain other things that it knows. So in the first version, the embedding one, you take your, let's say, pages and pages of documents and throw it at the large language model. Say, hey, tell me embedding numbers indicating where is the closest match in your system, and gives a bunch of numbers, and you store them in an index. And then when you ask a question, right, what we do is we take that question and look at, tell me the similarity score of this or embedding number, and then go to our database of indexed embeddings and pull paragraphs from our own local collection, and then throw it at the prompt completion engine. Say, hey, this is all the text I have. Based on this text alone, tell me answer to this question. So this kind of narrows the large language model to look at only this material, not everything else it knows from whatever it has learned before. The embedding is much more accurate if you want more factual information on your training. The second approach is fine-tuning, which is you give it a whole bunch of prompts and completions. So basically, I have to give it a question and answer, question and answer, question and answer. So I gave like about 200 question and answers, right? And then created a fine-tuned model, which basically helps the system respond faster. But at the same time, it is kind of a version of the fact. It's not giving the accurate, exact text from your website. Like, for example, if you have a FAQ section and you trained it, and it's not giving you exact answer for the FAQ, whereas the embedded model, embedding method does very close. It follows your material. So those are two different things. And also the fine-tuned model was a little bit tough to keep it on task. Sometimes it'll stray off into the world knowledge. Like if you ask random questions, it might even answer. The embedding one, it kind of sticks to the material. So
you can restrict the conversation or say, hey, I don't know this in the embedded, but with the fine tuning, because it has so much knowledge, you'll answer almost anything possible.
It can answer almost anything. The task is now to prompt engineer it to keep it wrapped up. Right? Basically, I had to write prompt saying, hey, you are a customer support agent. You will answer only question about White Lotus. Never answer anything about anything else. Don't worry about any other topics. But even after all that, maybe I don't know exactly how to trap it into that particular thing. It still sometimes comes up with question. You can randomly ask, hey, what's the price of tomato per pound or whatever, and it might sometimes answer that question. That's what I found. There is a little bit of variable there in my. But the difference is, one is fast, one is, because it is a fine-tuned model, it's just it's an inference based on the question. It comes up immediately. The context base is a couple of round trip. First, you have to look up your index, take the text, send it to OpenAI, and have it respond back. So there's more steps involved in the embedding versus that. But again, there's two colors text you will see. The orange colored one is the fine tune, and the green one is the embed. So we can look at the difference. So let's start.
Okay.
I'm just gonna. It has a audio input. I didn't put a text input, so there's a talking head in the bottom. So from the previous demos, it'll lip sync what material comes back. I have restricted it to say only the first sentence because text to video is still very expensive. So I kind of restrict it to say just the first sentence, not the whole thing. Okay, let me ask a basic question. What does White Lotus do? What does White Lotus do?
White Lotus Health is a health coaching organization that helps individuals and organizations achieve their health goals.
Okay, so this is the first question, and you can see the whatever the orange or yellowish orange response was faster than the green. Green took a few extra seconds, but This second one is more comprehensive, and it is direct. It has direct correlation to material on the website, right? The first
So
one
the
is like
first one is the fine-tuned, and the second one is the embedded.
correct.
Okay.
So the second one is more elaborate and
Got
more
it. And it's
more,
answering straight from the website. Okay.
and it has used material, the wording and stuff from the website text that I handed it. The first one is almost like it's still on topic, but it has come up with its own language or a version of the truth, right? So that's what I wanted to
Got it.
highlight. Okay, so let me ask one more. Do you accept medical insurance?
White Lotus Health is a private health coaching organization.
Now, again, since it stopped at the first sentence, I'll read this second part. We do not accept medical insurance, but we can provide you with information. So this organization, they don't accept medical insurance. You can see how the fine-tuned response, right? It still had this description of White Lotus Health, which probably is not needed at this stage, but we do not accept medical insurance, but we can provide you with information. The second was more direct, right? No, White Lotus does not accept medical insurance. We offer individual, group, and hybrid sessions, blah, blah, blah. So you can see how the sentence construction changes in this aspect as well. So in my testing, mostly the embed model is more truthful to the material of the person if you're custom training it. The fine-tune is obviously faster. It comes back with the response. So you got to decide based on the needs, right? If you want a version or you want it to also entertain other questions, you go for the fine-tune, right? If I open this up, you can even ask who's the president of the United States, or you can ask all kind of, tell me, oh, one fun thing I tried, let's tell me a story.
White Lotus Health is a health coaching organization based in the US.
So while we wait for the second one, so this is not related to the material. So it's just a more generic question, right? So we provide blah, blah, blah. This is the first part is nowhere anything close to a story. But the second one pulled a testimonial from the website. So
wow.
you can see how, right. So you can see as White Lotus Health, we have had many success stories. One of the clients struggling with their health. So she tried many times. So this is what I'm talking about. The embed model is way better in answering these kind of things related. So I think playing with both sides of it, I feel more like even though the way the indexing and embedding is slower, I think it's more accurate and factual, and it's more on the mark, even when you do this kind of things.
That's interesting. You just said, tell me a story, and it knew to go get a testimonial. You know what I'm saying? That is very cool.
Correct. So that's again, so it stays on the target, it stays on the material you have, and it's able to come up with it. But the first one is faster, obviously, and it has some vague similarity, but it's not a story, right? So what else? I think one of the other things you can ask is some negative, like something that's out of topic, right? Let's see what it does. Tell me about the current president.
The current president is Donald Trump.
There you go. See, that's the old material. See, it strays off. It didn't do it last time, but this time it is able to escape the prompt and go out. See, the other one is still on target. It is not responding. It just gives material related to White Lotus Health.
From
right?
the website. That is okay.
So based on the 2021 September data, it's coming up with a value, right? It's not supposed to do that. It's good that it happened on this demo, just to show it strays off topic. Maybe I'll ask it one more time. Tell me about the president. I think it gives different responses every time.
The president of White Lotus Health is a certified health coach with over 15 years of experience in the field.
Right. So anyway, so sometimes it's on target, sometimes it's not. So there's a little bit of a variability here with the fine tune. It's faster, definitely, but got to be cognizant of the fact.
It makes it what fine-tune sounds like our exciting cousin you don't want to be left unsupervised.
Right. So why I'm saying this is, again, this is a version of how you can use custom training data, but there could be use cases where it's fine-tuned, but it's allowed to wander a little bit around the topic or go. So there could be use cases like that, right? But certainly not.
Yes.
I wouldn't use it for my personal website, a fine-tuned model, because it strays away from topic and gives some answers that I wouldn't approve of, right? But there could be other type of, especially in the medical and other fields, you don't want to be giving some things like that. But there could be websites where you're talking to a person, like people are starting to use as a virtual assistant or some other type of these kind of things. You fine tune it, it stays close to that tune. Again, another function is how much data. I only gave it 200 prompts. Maybe with thousands of prompts, this is able to stay on topic. That I didn't explore because that takes a lot of time and effort to create all the prompts. So,
that is very cool. Thank you for showing us this. So I know you wanted to talk a little bit behind the scenes. So
all right, let's talk about what are all the things that. Okay, so how did I start with this? So the basic couple of things you need is LangChain and Llama Index, right? So these are two things that are widely used in making life easier for people to build things like this. So Llama Index is basically used in this case to take your text. In this case, I gave you a bunch of PDF files in a folder, right? So let's. So, for example, I have a docs folder here, and I gave it 3 PDF files. One is the main homepage, services page, and about us page. Right. So this is straight off. I go to a web page and print it with PDF. Nothing fancy, right? So I just did that for 3 pages. So there's no work involved except for using the PDF printer. Right? It just prints the web pages, just text, images, all kinds of stuff, right? And then you use the Llama Index built-in method, so you can read the directory and get documents out of it, right? It uses PDF reader, gets everything, and gives text chunks. And with the text chunks, it'll create a node, and it'll start pinging the OpenAI system embedding endpoint to get some numbers. So what happens once that's done? It creates a file which has pretty much gibberish to human eyes. Right? It took all the text, converted it to all these embedding numbers. Just a whole bunch of numbers, which OpenAI, when you pass it, it will know what's the similarity, where is it, which nodes are similar to this and that, at a high level. So this is what is being used. So all the 3 pages got condensed into this vector embedding scores or store or whatever it is, the JSON file, right? And this is what is going to get used every time we type something. A question comes in, right? And then the system will go ping OpenAI, say, hey, give me the embedding scores for this particular text. And based on that, it's going to pull document material from its own local index and send it up. And that's essentially what it does. So you can see here the code that's running. So I put it in a debug mode so we can see what it does. So for example, in the embedding thing, it says context information is below. It pulled all this from the PDF, and it's going to ask OpenAI to say, request to OpenAI, right? Your character is a support agent. This is a prompt I gave. Based on this, answer me this question, right? And then it's going to come up with that answer we saw in the user interface. That's what is happening under the hood. The second piece is even more fun. This is a lot of work, so I use ChatGPT to do the work. So So you have to come up with this JSON file with what's. You have to take your material, break it down into individual questions, right? Leave alone one, you have to come up with hundreds of them. So what did I do to save time? So basically, I went ahead and that screen here and use ChatGPT. Right? So this is what I did. Again, it should be fine-tuned, but for the purposes, this is straightforward. I have access to GPT-4 now, thankfully, so I can copy paste more stuff. Come on. Scroll bar if it works.
So you basically
so this is what I
create the prompt. Okay.
Exactly. Who's going to sit there and generate 200 of these? So this is what I said. I'll provide you a text paragraph. Imagine this is being used by customer support representative to answer customer questions. Generate JSON-L file format output with each line in this exact format where the prompt is the customer, whatever would ask, and completion is the representative's answer. Generate 1,000 prompts. Right? So again, it didn't do 1,000, but I gave the whole copy paste, as you can see, easy.
Got it.
And then eventually, after lines and lines of this is why I like the GPT-4 extra. So it came up with a prompt, right, and completion.
Okay.
Now I didn't like it. I didn't like it because it's tough to copy. So basically, I said, due to formatting issue, can you provide me code block? And then that's much better, right? And now I just went ahead, copied, and then say, give me 10 more. All I had to do is give me more, and then it created more and more variations of the same, right? And then now you take the file, and it's one API call to give it to OpenAI, fine-tune, and it trains it. It goes in a queue, and that's a costlier affair. So for 3 pages, it took me almost $3. So give or take, this is 18,000 tokens or something, which roughly translates to maybe 50,000 characters, maybe, or something like that. So for fine tuning 3 pages of this website, it took $3 to train it, and then I can query the fine tune model, just to give you a sense of what it costs.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you'll have to do it one time, right? I mean, of course, you can add more prompts as you go, but I don't know how to react to that. But I feel like it's not bad of an option for $3.
It's definitely not bad. Yeah, for your thing to answer on target on your website material and on your website, right? It's a chatbot, so it works. It's one-time fee, and every API call
can do.
It's going to cost every API call 0.00 whatever, depending on the model, 2 or 3.0. So it's still very fractional cost for a website chatbot. So
for something that will be prompt and can answer 24/7. I know these are simpler questions, but if you have an e-commerce site, I'm pretty sure there's so much use cases that just it's a no-brainer from an ROI perspective.
Oh, absolutely. I think you are right. It's 24/7 and it's always on target, right? On the questions asked, and it's conversational. It beats every other bot out there that. Can you repeat, or I don't understand?
Only have preset answers for question, right? Yeah.
Right. It's pre.
Yeah,
that's the key.
Hierarchy. You have to click on this, click, then you get answers. If you go anything past that, they're like, "Oh, what the hell?" Right?
Exactly. And also, like I said, it gives you. It's able to massage the data to interpolate some questions and like what. Yeah. Tell me a story.
Tell me a story one was very impressive that you understood or extrapolated that to, hey, let's give them a story about our business.
Correct.
From a testimonial. I mean, that's just where I think the intelligence part of AI comes in. So it's pretty cool.
It was pretty. I also saw one other response where it crafted a story based on the customer support agent's work life in that company. So it comes up with but it keeps on the topic. It keeps on the topic, which is White Lotus Health, but it came up with a story. I joined this when I was this, and it came up with a corresponding story within that person's life within the company. So I thought it was fun, right? It's still on topic. It's not too much outside the thing, but it's okay. It's passable, right? It's entertaining.
It is. It definitely is. This is great. Thank you for. I mean, just every time we do one of this, it just opens up the possibilities of what's next. So that's what's exciting about this. So we have more access to more tools now. We're going to be building more bots and applications. That's exciting for Balaji and me, and hopefully for you guys too. But we really want to evolve with the audience to building as the tools evolve, the technology evolves. We are evolving from our understanding of it. I can't wait to see what we have next week or in 6 months from now, where we're going to be. So I'm excited about this. So thanks, Balaji, for
Yeah,
bringing the technical know-how to this.
it's exciting to play with some of these tools, and considering that you can leverage a code assistant, it's even more exciting for me. But either way, as audience members, if you guys feel that we should build some other POC to showcase some of this, please feel free to drop a comment, and we will try our best to see whether we can do something that matches that.
Yeah, if you have use cases that is exciting, we always looking for real world use cases that we can have, because I know there's a lot of hype around things that we might not use on a daily basis. So if the things you are looking for, you're an entrepreneur, you're a project manager, and you say, hey, I wish I had this, that'd be great. It'll be give us some focus areas for us to build the next one. So appreciate it. Thank you, Balaji, as usual, for guiding us through this. This is fun. So let's do this again soon. Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
thanks, Rajni. Thanks, everyone.